President Trump signs an order to slash prescription drug prices. The U.S. and China hit pause on their tariff war. And yes, flying cars just took a giant leap from sci-fi to rush hour reality. Buckle up on that one. Plus today's trivia question: who invented the Guinness Book of World Records and why? That's like a two-part trivia question. I love it. It's Tuesday, May 13th. This is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Good morning and welcome to the Flyover. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you had a great start to the week and maybe even got a moment to catch your breath. We've got a lot to get to today: the headlines, the surprises, and the stories that might just make you say, wait, what? So let's take off with today's top stories. President Trump just signed a sweeping executive order aimed at slashing prescription costs across the board. It's called the, quote, most favored nation policy, and it essentially forces drug companies to match what they charge in the U.S. to the lowest prices available in other developed countries. That applies not just to Medicare and Medicaid, but to the private market, too. The administration says drug makers have 30 days to set price targets, and if they don't show, quote, significant progress within 6 months, enforcement action is on the table. Trump says prices could fall by as much as 90%, though critics warn that the order is light on details and could face legal pushback. Still, groups like AARP are applauding the effort, saying too many seniors are skipping their medications because they simply cannot afford them. Next up, some major news on the international front. The U.S. and China have agreed to a 90-day pause in their escalating tariff war. Both sides are rolling back the steep duties they've slapped on each other's goods since April. For the U.S., tariffs on Chinese imports will drop from 145% down to 30%. And China's cutting its own from 125% to just 10%. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the goal here is twofold: cool down tensions and reduce America's reliance on China for key goods like semiconductors and medical supplies. That dependency became painfully clear during the pandemic, and this deal aims to change that. Wall Street loved the news as well. I'll get to that later in the stock market update. But spoiler alert, it's one of the biggest market jumps we've seen in months. And finally, have you ever dreamed of flying to work instead of, sitting in traffic? Well, we're officially one step closer to that. A company in Slovakia just unveiled what they're calling the world's first mass-produced flying car. It's called the Air Car. And yes, it's real. Developed by inventor Stefan Klein over the past 2 decades, this thing transforms from a street-legal car into a fully functional aircraft in just under 2 minutes. It can hit speeds of up to 155 miles an hour in the air and travel up to 621 miles on a single tank of gas. Klein was honored at a gala in Beverly Hills with Morgan Freeman and John Travolta handing him a special engineering award. Early buyers will have to shell out close to $1 million, but deliveries are set to begin in 2026. According to Klein, the goal is simple: bring the freedom of flight to everyday people. And now I just have to ask, would you fly to work if you could? Feel free to leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast app. I can't wait to read them. Here's a look at your top political headlines today. Federal investigators are reportedly weighing criminal charges against 3 Democratic members of Congress from New Jersey. The lawmakers were allegedly caught on camera assaulting ICE officers during a tense standoff outside a detention center in Newark. Also arrested during the clash was Newark's mayor, Ras Baraka. He's also been charged with trespassing but was released without bond. The Department of Homeland Security confirmed that, quote, arrests are on the table as they review footage and statements from the incident. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy announced a new plan to help fix the nation's air traffic controller shortage by raising the mandatory retirement age from 56 to 61. The FAA is currently short about 3,000 controllers, and Duffy says extending careers by 5 years will give the system some much-needed breathing room. The proposal still has to go through review, but early responses suggest bipartisan support given the urgency of the shortage. In immigration news, the first group of white South African refugees, 49 individuals, most of them Afrikaners, has arrived in the U.S. under a new policy launched by President Trump. The administration has framed the program as a humanitarian response to violence and economic displacement in the region. And finally, California Governor Gavin Newsom is escalating his efforts to address homelessness by calling on cities and counties across the state to adopt a model ordinance that bans encampments. The plan focuses on moving unhoused individuals into shelters and clearing out sidewalk and park encampments, something Newsom says is essential to improving public safety and health. Some local leaders support the idea, but others argue it doesn't do enough to address long-term housing needs. For more updates on these stories and all stories delivered on the podcast today, you can find them in today's email edition of The Flyover. Sign up for free at jointheflyover.com. We are brought to you by Picasso. Picasso isn't just another real estate company. They're going after a $1.3 trillion industry, vacation homes, and flipping it on its head. Instead of second homes sitting empty most of the year, Picasso turns them into co-owned assets, fully managed and shared by real owners. The result? Over 2,000 homeowners served $110 million in gross profits, and a digital platform that handles everything from scheduling to financing. This isn't hypothetical. It's happening now in 40-plus markets from the U.S. to Paris, Cabo, and London. And here's your window. Picasso is letting individual investors in right now at just $2.80 per share. But that price changes on May 29th. If you're looking to invest in a fast-scaling company led by a founder with a proven track record, this is it. Go to Picasso.com/theflyover to invest now. Again, that's PACASO.com/theflyover, or click on the link in the description below. Coming up on The Flyover, Memorial Day travel is about to smash records. The NFL's opening matchup is set, and it's a big one. And Fox is launching a new streaming service just in time for kickoff. But first, finance coming right up. Let's get into your business and finance headlines. EchoStar stock took a big hit on Monday, dropping nearly 17% after reports surfaced that the FCC is investigating how the company rolled out its national 5G network. The probe appears to center on whether EchoStar made the build-out requirements for its spectrum licenses. Fox is getting ready to enter the streaming wars in a bigger way. The company announced that its new service, called Fox One, will launch before the NFL season kicks off. It'll combine Fox's news, sports, and entertainment content all in one place, which could shake things up for sports fans. Anheuser-Busch is investing $300 million into its U.S. operations with a focus on creating manufacturing jobs and supporting veteran employment. The company says this is part of a broader push to grow its workforce and increase domestic production. And finally, Georgia has become the second state in the country, after Iowa, to pass a law shielding pesticide manufacturers from lawsuits that claim their products, like Roundup, cause cancer. Supporters say it protects agriculture jobs, while critics argue it limits legal recourse for consumers. Here's what moved on the stock market yesterday. It was a massive day for the markets on Monday. The Nasdaq surged 4.35%, the S&P 500 jumped 3.26%, and the Dow climbed 2.81%, marking one of Wall Street's strongest performances in months. The rally was fueled by optimism around the U.S.-China tariff pause and a boost in investor confidence. On the flip side, Bitcoin slipped 2.19%, dipping just below 102,000, and gold dropped 2.84%, signaling a shift away from safe haven assets as a risk appetite returned. Let's run through your top sports stories. The NFL has its season opener. Thursday, September 4th, will feature an in-division showdown between the Dallas Cowboys and the reigning Super Bowl champs, the Philadelphia Eagles. It's a high-stakes rivalry to kick off the season, and it's already getting fans super fired up. Over in baseball, Sunday's Mother's Day game between the Texas Rangers and Detroit Tigers had a very sweet family moment. Mary Young threw out the ceremonial first pitch. She's the mom of both Josh Young, who plays for the Rangers, and Jace Young, who plays for the Tigers. So sweet. And in college sports, the NCAA Division I softball tournament bracket is officially out. Texas A&M grabbed the number 1 overall seed. And by the way, you can check out the full bracket and all sports updates to see how your favorite teams stack up in today's email edition of The Flyover. Let's talk science, space, and a dash of automation. Scientists are getting creative with how they prep for a Mars mission. They're testing life detection tools right here on Earth in the ancient Torridon landscape of Scotland. Why there, you ask? Because the rocks in that area are some of the oldest on Earth and are geochemically similar to what we've seen on the Red Planet. So if we can find signs of ancient life in Scotland's rock beds, it might help us figure out where to look on Mars. And back here on Earth, Walgreens is going full Jetsons. The pharmacy chain is expanding its fleet of robot-run prescription centers, aiming to automate half of its total prescription volume by next year. These high-tech hubs can fill up to 100,000 prescriptions a day, which is 8 times faster than human pharmacists, freeing up staff to spend more time on patient care in the store. It's time for Travel Tuesday, your weekly excuse to daydream about your next adventure. I'm doing that right now. First up, get ready for packed roads and airports. AAA just announced that over 45 million people are expected to travel at least 50 miles over Memorial Day weekend, which would actually break a record that stood for 2 decades. So whether you're road tripping, flying, or just planning to hit the beach, brace yourself because this year's kickoff to summer is gonna be a busy one. And speaking of epic journeys, how about this guy, Oliver Widger, a 29-year-old who's gone viral for sailing by himself from Oregon to Hawaii. That's 2,400 miles across the open ocean with no prior experience, just him and his rescue cat Phoenix navigating the waves and capturing every step of the journey on social media. If you need a little wanderlust or just want to watch a cat living its best boat life, check out the video. Finally, if you're looking for somewhere new to escape this summer, Travel and Leisure has released its list of 10 best small towns for a summer getaway. Leading the way, the stunning mountain towns of Jackson, Wyoming, and Crested Butte, Colorado, followed by charming picks in Maine, Maryland, and Louisiana. Think fresh air, local flavor, and lots of personality without the overwhelming crowds. Until they listen to this podcast, and then everyone's going to go there. But you can find the full list of destinations in today's email edition of The Flyover. Still ahead, the most popular baby names in America are holding strong. Can you guess which ones? Kim Kardashian takes the stand in a Paris courtroom, and the trivia question that started with a pub argument and led to a global record-breaking empire. It's all coming up. Let's head into the etc. section now, a mix of stories that are just too good to leave out. First up, the baby name reign continues. According to fresh data from the Social Security Administration, Liam and Olivia are once again the most popular baby names in the United States for the 6th year in a row. If you're hearing a lot of Olivias and Liams at daycare or at the playground, you're not imagining it. Now, if you've ever dreamed of driving like Batman and have a few $1,000,000 to spare, you're in luck because 10 fully drivable replicas of the Batmobile Tumbler from the Dark Knight trilogy are officially on sale. They're street legal somehow, cost a cool almost $3 million each, and are sanctioned by Warner Brothers. So, yeah, you could take home one of these through the drive-thru, maybe if you're feeling very dramatic. That would be amazing to see. And finally, in Paris, Kim Kardashian is taking the stand today in a long-awaited trial against the men accused of robbing her at gunpoint during a 2016 jewelry heist. The men reportedly stole over $6 million worth of jewelry that Kim had shown off on social media. It's one of the most high-profile celebrity robberies in recent memory, and her testimony is expected to be emotional and closely watched. You know what time it is? My favorite part of the morning. It's time for the polls. Here are yesterday's results. Can you survive 55 days lost at sea? 42% said no clue, but great story. 27% said maybe with supplies. 25% said I would lose it by day 3. And 6% said, yeah, I would crush it. By the way, if you did miss yesterday's podcast, you can get a recap of that incredible story about the 5 men who were lost at sea for over 50 days. 55 to be exact. That was incredible. By the way, here is today's poll question. Would you name your child one of the top names of the past 6 years, Olivia or Liam? Here's the different ways you can vote. Maybe, nah, too popular, already did, or absolutely. By the way, I would pick too popular. I have 2 boys and their names both start with the letter B. So feel free to guess in the comments section. One of my B boys will be turning 1 tomorrow. I can't wait to read the answers in the poll tomorrow. You can vote right now by going to jointheflyover.com. And here's today's trivia question. Who invented the Guinness Book of World Records and why? The Guinness Book of World Records was created in 1954 by Sir Hugh Beaver, the head of Guinness Brewery. After a pub debate over the fastest game bird, he realized there was no book to settle it, so he made one. The rest is record-breaking history. By the way, thank you so much for joining me this morning or this afternoon or this evening, whenever you're listening to the Flyover Podcast. It really makes our day. Hope you learned something, you share with a friend, no matter if you're watching on YouTube, listening on your favorite podcast app. We appreciate the listens, the shares, the likes, and the comments. I will see you tomorrow on my son's first birthday. I might sing for him. I'm not sure. I won't put you through that, but I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Thanks for flying with us.